Hi everyone and welcome to today's card creation. I'm going to be playing with some beautiful floral dies and some stamp sets from Pinkfresh Studio. I've only just recently discovered these guys, and so I thought what a great way to combine the Wow embossing powder range with their beautiful stamp sets. So I'm going to be using some background dies as well as this belief word sentiment with coordinating die. I'm going to be using this Rose Glintz. Now this is just a stunning embossing powder, and I really wanted to showcase this embossing powder, and I'm going to emboss the whole background of this die. So I've die cut each background die. Now it's a layered die, so that back piece, which is the underlaying piece, I'm going to cover the whole panel with embossing powder. So I'll show you my process here where I heavily ink up with the Wow embossing ink. This is an ultra slow drying ink. Really great for embossing, and the stickiness stays sticky for longer, so that you can pretty much don't have to rush when it comes to embossing and pouring the powder over. So I'm heavily pressing this ink pad because I want a really good coverage on the whole panel, and I'm just making sure that I'm getting good coverage here. So I've got that Wow craft mat I use to protect my surface, and then now I've got just a A4 paper that I folded in half, and I'm going to coat really well this embossing powder all over the panel. Now I also press on here as well as pour, and then whatever bits I do not get coverage on, I will scoop up with my jar and just sprinkle all over the bits that I didn't that I missed out on. So making sure I grab all those spots and then tapping any excess off. So making sure if there's those that's got some excessive areas, I'm going to tap onto the actual die. So I can see there's a little bit there I missed again, and now I start heat setting that. So I'm going to put the heat set on fast speed only because you really don't need to see this process. It's always like magic. I thoroughly enjoy it. I've left the whole thing here, but I've just sped it up. I really enjoy the magic of embossing powders. I think it just brings that extra spectacular wow factor, and you can keep the card so simple, but just that raised heat image just looks fabulous all the time. So I'm just using my Wow heat embossing tool here to really capture the heat, and this has only got the one speed. This is the Wow embossing tool, and I'm able to get good coverage and heat on this. So there is the back panel, absolutely shimmery, and you can see here this is where I'm going to put the top panel on. So I've used my Tonic Nuvo liquid adhesive here, and I'm hearing all along the border edge and then little spots throughout the actual image here. It's just quite a delicate image, but it's so beautiful, and to layer it is just an amazing wow factor to this. Really love it, and I hope you enjoyed the actual detail of this as well. So I just pretty much just get as much adhesive as I can, and I'm going to flip this over. Now I'm going to place a clear mount block over the top because I feel like this could curl up just with the pressure of the heat embossing their image. I really wanted to make sure it was flattened out, so I've just placed that and just set it aside once I've done that. And then I grab my top folding white card base and I adhere that all down. So all with adhesive, liquid adhesive again. And I do the same process too here when I set it aside, putting the clear block over the top. While that block is setting the actual card base, I work on the sentiment. I'm using the word series belief, and I've got some cardstock here in the shrimp color, and I found that best suited that Rose Glintz. Now I'm going to white heat emboss the sentiment. So I've die cut the actual surrounding of the word first, and then I'm going to heat emboss with the stamp set in white, bright white opaque superfine embossing powder. So making sure I'm heavily putting some good coverage of that embossing powder on, tapping the excess off, and heat setting that as well, and funneling the rest of that back into the jar. Once I've heat set this, I will actually put a lot of foam mount on there behind it before I adhere it down, and that's what I will use to adhere it down. So I've got the add-on sentiment, and I'm going to be using Believe in Yourself and You'll Be Unstoppable. Beautiful sentiment. I've got a strip of white cardstock here, and I'm going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Pale Blush Ink, and just making sure. I wasn't happy with the first stamp, so I'm going to do it again, and then that's the one I'll use. So I'll cut that up just with some paper scissors here, and then adhering that down on some shrimp cardstock and using liquid adhesive. Because I've foam mount the Belief die cut there, I wanted the actual add-on sentiment to sit slightly underneath, so I've adhered that directly down to the card panel, and then just adhering this. And that is really it for my card. Really kept it simple, monochromatic, and just pretty. You can see that shimmer through that dye, that background dye there shining through. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's card creation, and look forward to hearing and listening to your comments. See you later.